All right. Well, I had a time lapse going. Let's start that over. So I had a time lapse going. Camera ran dead. Didn't bother with it. I was on a roll, trying to make some stuff happen on the Trailblazer. Got the exhaust cut out from underneath it. So that's all going in the trash or in the scrap pile. I guess I really haven't done much back here. Here are the wires from our 8 input, 8 output Holley CAN bus module. I've got rear wheel speed sensor in here. Got let's see, got a transmission cooler going back here. I've got a temp sensor that's actually going to be going in the intercooler. I've got the wire that's going to drive this pump here. I've got the wire that's going to drive the 2 fuel pumps. Basically, I'm going to PWM all of this stuff off of some Mitsubishi Lancer PWM controls, because apparently they play really well with the Holley stuff if programmed properly. So we're going to PWM probably these fans and probably the fan in the front for now, but eventually the second fuel pump that's in the sump here will probably get a PWM on it as well. And I don't know, that's probably going overkill, but hey, that's what I do. Let's see what else is in here. Yeah, we got some coolant temp sensors for the intercooler. Trans temp's actually going to come from the transmission plug, and I'll just build a table for that fan as far as PWM goes. The Holley Terminator X is installed along with that module. Let's see what else. A bunch of this stuff's getting cut out because I changed directions. Fuel line, send, return. Yeah, so we're going to strip a bunch of that out. I've already stripped a ton of stuff out of the harness. Bear with me while I let the lift down. Okay. So like I said, the Terminator is in. Kick some light back on. Got to pull my grommet back in. But you can see where I have my grommet coming through the firewall right there. I just rearranged where all these cables down here were going, so it kind of pulled that grommet back out of the hole. Here's all the power wires, the ground wires, and then output number 2 for that injector driver module. Let's see. Everything is ready. We're going to start tying up all the loose ends here very soon. And then I think once I get all of my list made for my routing, where my wires are going, it's going to be time to put the engine in here so that we can actually put that theory into practice. A lot of things change a lot of the times once you start really trying to put this stuff together. It all sounds good in the beginning, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So right here is what is left of the factory harness that went to the engine. We've got oil pressure, and we've got engine coolant temp. That is the only thing. Oh, I take that back. We have the air conditioner compressor, and then we have the air conditioner pressure transducer for the discharge side. We have our starter wire, and we have the most important part, crank signal. So crank signal is going to make this computer think that it's running. And once again, we're into that theoretical part. This is what I've been told. This is what I've read on multiple forums. I pray that it's true. So, like I say, factory computer. It's pretty stupid now. It's not controlling anything. Obviously, the Holley's going to take control over all of the fuel injection. It's going to take control over all of the peripheral accessories. I'm going to go ahead and leave the transmission control module plugged in. I don't want any more lights on this thing than I have to have. All the transmission stuff has been stripped out of there as well, obviously. Yeah, here's the box of the stuff I stripped out. I unpinned probably 2 pounds of wires out of the factory stuff. Put it all back in power braid. I like that stuff better. I just think it makes a cleaner. I think it makes a cleaner installation, especially if you're using the black outer AN line. And this is just cheap Amazon stuff. I'm not running E85. I don't need PTFE. This is, I believe, Evil Energy hose. Honestly, the fittings are questionable. I've ruined one, and I say I ruined it because it was my mistake. But on a more quality fitting, that won't be an issue. Wouldn't have been an issue. Slight case of misalignment when I put it together. Other than that, I've got to run 6-pair RCA cable to the back here, and then I can put the console back in it because it's going straight down the middle. Battery is in the back. I've got some 2-aught that I'm going to actually replace what runs from the rear of the vehicle to the front to those 4 posts. I think they're like a 3/8 post terminal block. It runs to this deal right here. Well, what I really want to do is I actually want to move this one, which is 2 gauge, I believe, 2 gauge welding lead. I want to move that one over to the new alternator that I just ordered the 250 amp MechMan. So I want to run this over to that, and then I'll probably run a 2-aught from the starter post straight back down the passenger frame rail to the battery. I think that's probably the best way to do it to make sure it's got solid current. I'm seriously considering running a ground with it too, to ground the engine block. Grounds are a big issue on any vehicle. A lot of the times, I would say almost 60% of the times, you have problems with your lighting system, I mean, you name it. A lot of the times it's not the 12 volt side, it's actually the ground side, in my experience. So we're going to replace a bunch of that stuff, and we're going to put in extra grounds, and then we'll have obviously a ground from the engine block to the chassis, one from the chassis to the body. It's going to get the big 3 and then some when it comes to charging system and battery and grounding system. It's going to get a lot of all of it. It's also going to have a small system in it. I got a WS610 and a nice 5-channel JL amplifier. So that's all it's going to get, that and a nice head unit. So anyways, we're going to do away with this, do that a little bit different. You know, when plans change, I'm not going to change them for the worse. We're going to upgrade some other stuff while we're at it. All right, so as far as the engine goes, I've got a video of my buddy, the machinist, CNS Machine, Steve Dockery, good dude, great machinist. So if you need anything machined, I would probably call him. I would definitely call him.
Like 186.
That'll be just fine. All right, as far as the engine goes, we'll start at the top. Got Holley EFI's alcohol injection nozzle. It's basic or solenoid, so it's PWM solenoid. Requires a PWM driver, peak and hold style, because it is a low impedance, more or less monster fuel injector. So basically, I'm going to have the Holley pump feeding this. It's going to come on at 3-4 psi, and we're going to be chattering this solenoid right here like a fuel injector. These go back here and they feed a number 6 and a number 3 nozzle from Snow Performance, and those are actually going straight into the screws on the blower. So I've already showed this mess that I created right here, trying to get more water flow into the intercooler, which is obviously down here in the lower intake. Still have not made a set of viable mounts for these fuel rails due to shortening the injectors by quite a bit with some ID 1300s. Could have gone with the longer ones, but this is what it is. I'll just go ahead and make some new mounts. Okay, underneath that, I looked around for some steam vents that I liked. I never found any steam vents that I liked, so I created some. Annealed stainless tubing, and a couple of fittings from Summit. I believe these are from ITC Billet. The valley cover, obviously ITC Billet. Alright, back around to the front. So with the supercharger, the old exhaust. So with the supercharger, I had some belt alignment issues when I got this vehicle. Obviously, Kenny Bell never made a blower for a 2006 Trailblazer SS. They never did, and they'll tell you that straight up. So basically, when I called, the first time I called, the guy was actually really helpful, and he kind of told me what I had. I gave him the numbers. I had no idea what I was dealing with. So this was for a production Camaro late model, obviously LS Cathedral port. Believe it was for an LS1. So it's been modified to fit this bracketry. The block was kind of an oddball. The block had provisions for a front cam sensor and a rear cam sensor. Well, this is not that block anymore because I wanted to save these pistons. These are nice pistons in here, so, and they're 30 over, so we just reblocked it. Now, this one is obviously a 4th gen block because the other thing about that block is it had knock sensors down low, and they had the timing pickup in the rear, or the cam pickup in the rear. Well, I'm not sure exactly what this thing went through before I got it, but let's just say nothing was bad wrong, and most of it was on the up and up, but there was some janky shit going on. Anyway, so we don't have great belt alignment, or we didn't before. We didn't have great belt alignment. The blower actually stuck out. The blower pulley was probably an 1/8 to 3/16 forward of the rest of the accessory drive. The tensioner pulley was actually way out as well. I believe I have got it spaced to the outside because it was probably about the same amount to the inside. And this is putting a straight edge across all of it from the perspective of the crankshaft. So lay the straight edge across this way, lay the straight edge across here. I tried to get it across to the blower, couldn't do it without pulling the water pump off. Did pull the water pump off. Much better now. I took this to Steve at CNS. There's a bushing that rides in here right behind this blower pulley, and I actually had Steve at CNS turn that down. Let's see. I want to say, yeah, here's my numbers. 187 thousandths. 187 thousandths. Let's just call it that. So he did it. It's exact. I mean, it is freaking perfect now. I couldn't be happier. So it does have the Dart Pro 1 heads on it. They have been worked after coming from Dart. Let's see if I can get in here. So here's the rest of my steam vent system that I built. I used to get a nitrous block that was sitting in a drawer, been there for forever. So we have the stainless vents all done. Next plan. I made a plate for the Holley fuel pressure regulator. And the plan is for it to go right there, tucked away nice and neat. We'll have a loop hose, very short from here to here. And of course that angle gets better. You can really work that angle into a more acceptable flow. But then you've got this one down here. It'll come across and feed a 90 on this rail. Actually, they're not feeding, they're returning, but you get the point. I'm trying to think about a million things right now and trying to get the hell out of here and go home. Maybe have time to edit a video after everybody goes to sleep tonight. I can't talk. It's been one of those days. So, that's the progress we've made so far. Brian Tucker did go through the transmission. If you guys need a transmission 4L60 or such, I have two people I use. I use Brian Tucker and Coy Brinkley, and both of them are fantastic. So, anyways, back to the transmission. Transmission got freshened up. He said fourth got a little bit hot. Not too bad. It was a pretty simple fix. He did do a bunch of custom work in there though. He did drill out some passages. He took up some slack in a servo and a couple other things that he knows how to do that are pretty trick. So, yank converters going back in it. Thought about replacing it, but thought better of it. That alternator I don't think is going to do the trick anymore, so that alternator is going to get X-nayed. Ordered a McMahon 250 amp since there's a lot of electrical stuff going on with this vehicle now. And the last little bit of it. The only place I could find viable to mount that Holley, all the Holley equipment, is right here. I don't particularly care for it, but it works. Terminator X Max, Holley 8x8 input-output CAN module, and the Holley peak and hold injector driver, 2-channel. So that's what we got going on. Decided to change direction, so none of this stuff down here is of any consequence anymore. It's irrelevant. It all has to come out because now I have this. I don't have to get super creative about how many things I can control. So, next, I guess I'm gonna out-order one of those Gallotech push-button starters. They have a pretty sweet one that actually you pull this off and it goes right there. It's a pretty snazzy setup. It's got a low jack on it. Kind of like that idea. It's pretty cheap monthly too. I think it was like 12 bucks a month, something like that. Cheap peace of mind if you ask me. But so all that stuff down there is irrelevant, not even worth showing. I think I'm going home. I'm gonna straighten up a little bit and get out of here. Oh yeah, I saw one of these and I had to have a brake parts cleaner. And a 5-gallon drum of brake parts cleaner is nowhere near like buying 4 flipping cases of brake parts cleaner. Way cheaper this way, because we go through it. So, anyways, that's about it for me tonight. Get the hell out of here. See y'all.